Hey Kingdom Kids, it's time for another adventure. Come on, let's go.
CC, it's story time. CC, it's story time. CC always telling the stories, pink hair and socks, and she's never boring. Whiteboard with the orange tie. You need a recap, Derek is your guy. Oh, with a flow so cold. Everybody get ready for adventure mode. Heather with the crew that's so disruptive. Hey, what's that? Friendly interruption. Kingdom Kids, yeah, Kingdom Kids. Kingdom Kids, yeah, Kingdom Kids.
Hey Kingdom Kids, and welcome back for another adventure. I am so excited for today's adventure. We're going to learn about a woman who saved her people. But before we do that, we need a recap. Take it away, Derek.
The king of Persia decided to let the Israelites go home and rebuild the temple of God after being in Babylon for 70 years. A man named Tataniah sent a letter to King Darius, who was the king of Persia, telling him about the Israelites and how King Cyrus made a decree. So King Darius and his people searched the royal records, and they found the decree, which said that they must build the temple. So King Darius sent a letter back telling them to let them build the house, and not only that, but to supply them with anything that they may need to make the temple. So Tataniah gave them supplies, and the house of God was rebuilt. Whoa, that sounds better than HGTV. Anyways, back to you, Cece.
Wow, they had everything they needed to build the temple. You know, that almost reminds me of this one time where...
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this friendly interruption. Please enjoy these facts from Tammy.
Howdy Kingdom Kids, Tammy here, and I've got a fun fact for you today. Did you know that kangaroos can't walk backwards? Can you, Kingdom Kids? Well, steal my tater tot and give me a dog. I did not know that fact.
I did not know those facts. Did you? Anyway, back to Cece.
Wow, Tammy, I did not know those facts. Well, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for...
Adventure Mode!
King Ahasuerus gave a feast for his officials and governors that lasted 180 days. When that party was over, he threw another party for 7 days for all the people of Persia. Queen Vashti also gave a feast for the women in the palace. On the 7th day, the king commanded Queen Vashti to come before the king to show off her beauty. But Queen Vashti refused. The king became enraged and asked what he should do about his wife's response. They told him that the queen must be thrown out. The king started a search for a new wife who could take Vashti's place. He wanted to find someone who was even more beautiful than Vashti, so he had women come from all over to search for his wife. After 12 months, the ladies were brought in one by one. If the king remembered them by name, they would be the next queen. Now there was a beautiful woman named Esther who caught the king's eye. She was a Jew, but did not let anyone know her heritage or where she was from. The king called Esther by name and made her his queen. There was a man named Haman who was promoted by the king to be his second in command. When he walked by, people had to bow down. But Mordecai, who was like a father to Esther, did not bow down. Haman was furious. He knew that Mordecai was a Jew, so he made a decree to kill all the Jews on a special day and posted it throughout the city. When Mordecai found out, he mourned and wept. Mordecai went to see Esther and asked her to go to the king and ask for help. No one was allowed to see the king in his palace unless he called for you. If he extended his scepter to you, then you would be safe. If not, you would be killed. So without being called, she went to see the king. When she stood in front of the king, he held out his scepter to her and said, "What is it, my queen? What is it that you asked for? Even if it were half of the kingdom, I would give it to you." Esther asked for a picnic with the king and Haman, the man who was trying to kill all the Jews. So the king and Haman had 2 picnics with Esther, and finally she told the king what she really wanted. "If I have found favor in your sight, O king," she said, "let my life and my people's life be granted." The king said to Esther, "Who is he, and where is he? Who has dared to do this?" And Esther said, "The wicked Haman." Then Haman was terrified before the king and queen. The king stormed out of the picnic in anger. When the king left, Haman pleaded with Esther for his life and fell on her. Once the king returned, he saw Haman begging on his wife and became even angrier. Once a decree has been sealed by the king, it cannot be taken back. So the king made a new decree to help the Jews when it came time for them to be killed, and he put Haman to death in his own front yard. Esther had saved her people. And that's what we learned on
Adventure Mode!
Wow, Esther was so brave. She could have been killed by going to the king without being called, but she knew that the fate of her people was in her hands. She went to the king anyway and saved her people. God put her exactly where she needed to be to save the Jews, and because of her, the king passed special laws to help them. Wow, God sure does know what he's doing. Well, Kingdom Kids, I had a lot of fun going on this adventure. I'll see you next time. Bye!
I liked this video. Did you? Well, like and